Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Hey friends, welcome back to Talk Wealthy to Me, the show where we're changing the way women think and feel about money. Today, we're breaking down something that every woman, whether you're a business owner, a side hustler, or just managing your household finances, absolutely needs to know. And that's really just the basics of accounting and financial statements. Now, before you hit skip, hear me out. I know words like balance sheet or cash flow statement can sound like something your CPA handles once a year. But here's the truth. If you want to build wealth, you have to understand how your money moves. And ladies, we are owning more of it than ever before. Women now control over $30 trillion in U.S. wealth, and that number is expected to double by 2030. Yet, according to a recent UBS report, 85% of women delegate financial decisions to a spouse or an advisor. And that stops here because knowledge is leverage and financial statements are the language of wealth. So today, we're going to talk about the 3 financial statements that every woman should understand, what those actually mean for your money, how to read them like a boss, even if you're not an accountant and don't aspire to be one, and how to use them to make confident business and personal financial decisions, using them like the tool that they are with no emotion and no questions. Let's first start with why this all matters so much. Women are starting businesses at record speed. About 1,200 new female-owned businesses every single day in the U.S. are being opened by ladies. And that's according to the American Express State of Women-Owned Business report. But here's the catch. A JP Morgan Chase study found that 61% of small business owners don't have a firm grasp on their cash flow. And really, that's where the problem starts. Because when you don't understand your numbers, you can't make strategic decisions. You may have heard me say this before, but you can't expect what you aren't inspecting. And if you don't understand what that looks like and what your numbers need to look like, you really can't expect much from them. You're running your business or your life blindfolded without that information. So think of it like this. Financial statements are your money's health report. Your balance sheet is your wealth snapshot, and a really great way of keeping a constant reminder of all of the things that you're doing right and maybe a nudge when things are not going according to plan. Remember, you should be paying attention to these numbers all of the time, every season, not just in the good and certainly not just in the bad. Your income statement is another one, and we want to look at that like it's a progress tracker. Your cash flow statement is truly the pulse of your business. Without these, you can't diagnose what's not working or fix what's not working or celebrate what is working. Okay, so the balance sheet. This basically tells you what you own versus what you owe. This one's all about stability, ladies. Your balance sheet lists your assets, your liabilities, and equity. Basically, it's going to show you everything you own, investments, assets, cash, then what you owe on those things. If there's a mortgage, for example, on a property or a loan on your car or credit card debt. And then those 2 numbers working together show you what's left over. So again, assets are going to include cash, your savings accounts, investments, real estate or other property, and even equipment if you run a business that has that need. Liabilities are the debts. So, not the most fun, but it can be, section of the balance sheet, but a good place to really keep track of what dollars belong to somebody else. Liabilities, these are debts, credit cards, loans, and obligations. And I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Not all debt is bad debt, but nonetheless, any debt, whether you think it's good or bad, needs to live under the liability section. Equity. So, this is your ownership, your net worth. And here's the math how we get to the bottom line. Assets minus liabilities equal the equity that you have. And according to Fidelity's 2024 wealth gap study, women's average net worth is still 40% lower than men's. And I'm not okay with that. And it's also not because of ability, just more likely because of access and awareness. And that's where we are changing the narrative. Understanding your balance sheet is bringing you one step closer to closing that gap. As I said, this is something that is changeable. What can we do right now to make a difference? Once a quarter, review what you own and what you owe. Watch how that net worth is changing over time and consider that your real scoreboard, both personally and for your business. Okay, shifting into the income statement, this really is telling your financial story. Sometimes it's called a profit and loss, but truly you need to be looking at this to understand your dollars coming in and out of your home and your business. It's the story of how your money is moving in and out of your life and what you're doing with it in the interim. It's going to show you your revenue, your expenses, and your profit. And here's the thing that every woman needs to hear. Cash flow does not equal profit. I will say that again. Cash flow does not equal profit. You can have money in the bank and still be losing money, or be super profitable on paper, but broke in reality. And I've felt that way myself, where you look at what's coming in and think, I should have a lot left over, but you don't. And this is how you figure out why. This is why understanding this document is so essential. The average small business margin in the US is around 7 to 10%. And that means for every $10,000 you make, only $700 to $1,000 of that is true profit. So if your margins are lower or non-existent, you're not failing, you're normal. You just need to know where the leaks are and how to plug them. If you want to do something to affect this today for the positive, I'd say your action step is to list your top 3 expenses each month and ask, is this cost giving me a return? Is it getting me to the end result that I want? And then cut what doesn't grow your bottom line, period. The next document is the cash flow statement. And really, I think that this is the hidden truth of wealth. This is one of the most overlooked pieces that I find impact women, but it is truly the most powerful. Your cash flow statement shows you the movement of money in and out of your life or your business, and it answers one very important question. Am I cash positive or am I cash poor? It breaks those into 3 sections: operating, day-to-day spending, investing, buying or selling assets, and then financing, loans, credit, or investments. In 2023, an Intuit QuickBooks report said that almost 60% of small business owners have experienced a cash flow crisis. And listen, ladies, I'm here to tell you, if you own a business and you haven't, or if you're running your household and you haven't, you are definitely not an exception. You're more like the rule. And this basically just means that there wasn't enough cash to cover expenses, even when business or home life was great. And that's truly the crux of why cash flow statements matter. It's an early warning system, if you will, that allows you the foresight to see the iceberg in front of the Titanic before impact. Okay, so now that we know what each of these statements mean, let's talk about how to use them. When you understand your numbers, you can price your services and know what your value is with confidence. It allows you to make hiring and investing decisions based on facts, not on feelings. And you can identify trends and pivots before there's a problem. And this is where true financial freedom truly begins. And remember, wealthy women are never guessing. They are measuring, they are inspecting what they expect. And that's why I always recommend setting up a simple dashboard, even in Google Sheets, just to keep track of it all. You need to understand your income, your expenses, the debt pay down, and your net worth. And of course, cash flow. Remember one very important thing. This is not about being perfect. It's about being aware. Because here's a stat that's going to blow your mind. Women who track their finances are 20% more likely to achieve their long-term financial goals. And that's a big leg up, ladies, for doing something that just takes a little bit of discipline. Now that we understand what we need to track, let's talk about how to read these statements so that you don't feel like you're trying to learn a second language. The best part about this is decoding what your numbers are actually telling you is the prize. If your income statement is showing rising revenue, but your profit is flat, your expenses are climbing faster than your income, if your balance sheet is showing an increasing debt, it's time to rebalance. Maybe sell unused assets or renegotiate some loan terms. If your cash flow is negative for 3 months straight, pause, breathe, and figure out why. Numbers are neutral. They're not judgment, they are feedback. And just like money, they are a tool, and they are an essential tool to building a strong foundation and generational wealth. Women don't take feedback personally when they are wealthy. They take it strategically, and that's not always easy, but practice can make perfect in this space. Let's be real. A lot of us were never taught this, even when we find ourselves operating a successful home or a successful business. Sometimes it happens by miracle or mistake. And if we were told to budget and not to build balance sheets, or to save money but not to manage it like a CEO, that could be part of the problem. And this is how we change the narrative. In 2024, a FINRA study found that only 54% of women consider themselves confident investors. And that is so troubling because we do so much better than the boys when we invest. So even if it means taking one financial course, building your confidence increases 81%. And that is a number that is impressive. Little things can make big impact. And it really does drive home the fact that education is everything. And now, of course, I'm going to mention a really easy way to get that education, and that's through Finance 101. It makes information simple, actionable, and relevant to women like you, because understanding your numbers isn't intimidating, it's empowering. And I think it's worth repeating that not all of us enjoy inspecting our numbers. We might not have loved accounting classes in college, in business school, and certainly may sit through our State of the Union meetings with our families, drumming our fingers, anticipating what is coming next that may interest you a bit more. And I'm okay with all of those things as long as you understand what's happening within your financial snapshot. To recap all of this, remember your balance sheet shows your stability, your income statement shows your story, your cash flow statement shows your sustainability. And God forbid anything unexpected happens, you're not going to miss a beat. You're going to be prepared. If you have these 3 documents and review them religiously, you can make powerful decisions about your money, your business, your life, your exit, your retirement, whatever that big, shiny, end of the road goal is to you. So this week, I want you to do one thing for me. Pull up your most recent bank statement and create your own mini profit and loss, even if it's just using what you're spending as a family in your household. I promise you, you're going to be shocked at what you learn. Something that I've seen over the last decade of working with thousands of people just like you that everybody's surprised at where their money is going when they do this. It doesn't matter how much is coming in, but it truly matters how it's being spent and where it's being spent. So be prepared to be surprised. And if you're ready to go deeper, especially as we head into the new year with only a couple of months left to this 2025 chapter of our book, join me inside Finance 101. It's really the ultimate foundation for women ready to take control of their financial life, simplifying it, making it digestible, and giving you tactical things to implement immediately. If you use code November25, you will be eligible to get 25% off through Friday, because really education is the gift that pays dividends to not only you, but future generations. And that is literal. I have a friend that says this, and I'm going to repeat it here. But when you're approaching finances or really anything in life, consider 2 people and no one else. What is that 8-year-old version of you going to say watching what you're building? And then what is the 80-year-old woman going to look back and say? And I think that with those 2 perspectives, you can't go wrong. It's giving yourself the permission to make the younger version proud and also the older version. And really, isn't that what it's all about? Create the impact one step at a time by just understanding what the tools are that you have at your disposal. As always, I value and appreciate so much that you choose to spend a little bit of your precious time with me. So until next time, let's keep changing the way women think and feel about money together.